Millen. So in this video we're going to discuss 3D and it's called the third dimension, and how that correlates to human society and civilization and a species that is established on a planet, which is its temporary home. So when we look at the picture of 3D, you can see that now we are at the cube state. So from length and height, now we're starting to get width, length, and height. We're starting to get volume. So you're starting to be able to contain more information, to hold more knowledge, to grasp concepts in a better way. Society at this point in a 3D is able to go beyond survival instincts and is now starting to have a little bit of moral background, a little bit of morality behind it. Still, this is primitive in terms of where we can go in civilizations, but 3D societies are still primitive in the idea that they are very fundamental in just having starting to take in information. So you're starting to see that organizations and religious organizations, political, education, military, economic, all of these factions of society are starting to encompass a little bit more of a higher perspective than they did in the Bronze Age, in the past. But it's not exactly 5D yet. So three-dimensional thinking is being a little bit more open-minded than the second dimension in thought and in consciousness, where you're not just focused on surviving, but there is a little bit more of in touch with your emotions, in touch with the higher level of understanding things. But it is still primitive in the idea that you can't see beyond that cube. So society is still kind of trapped in that 3D cube where it's inside of the box. And so you're not able to see the other dimensions that exist outside of that cube. And a lot of our education system, our government systems, our political, our economic, our religious organizations are really run by those people that are just stuck in a box, in the sense that they have a narrow viewpoint that is only in regards to their focus and their drive, and they're not able to see other people's perspectives in other nations, in other cultures, from other dimensions and other realities. They're not able to see those other higher perspectives. And you know, we have a president right now who is stuck in that box. Like, it's hard for him to see other cultures, and part of it is his upbringing. But what's happening is we have these leaders that are stuck in their box. They're basically stuck in their triangle. I mean, it could be a cube, it could be a triangle, but whatever it is, they're stuck in their system that they have created, which limits themselves to be able to see beyond the material constructs of reality. So the Illuminati and other types of organizations that are in control in the world, they have created these little, these shapes, the pyramid and the cube, and they have put society inside. They have tried to, but many people have actually walked out of the cube. But they have put people inside of those. So in the pyramid system, they have tried to put society in the pyramid system, where the leaders and the people who are very wealthy and own the majority of wealth are at the top. And then you have the workers on the bottom that support them at the top. And then you have people that have been stuck in the cube mentality of, it's their perspective. They live in their own little world. They live in their own reality, and they can't see beyond that material construct. They can't see the interconnection with others. They don't see those lines outside of that shape, outside of that cube. So that's 3D society, and that is why I said in the other video that much of our issues that we have today is that these large factions of society are actually stuck in the box. Literally, they're stuck in that shape. But you have individuals that have gone outside of that shape and have said, well, wait a minute, there's something on the other side of this. There's a new perspective that awaits, and there are lines that connect us to higher levels of existence, and our limits is, you know, only what we limit ourselves at. So there are individuals who are able to do that, and they are those individuals that are able to go outside of the box are in the fourth dimension. So that's what we have going on Earth. It's really a crazy time because we had the 3D society. We still have the 3D society constructs. And then we have the majority of people are actually transitioning into the fourth dimension construct of consciousness and thought, and seeing beyond the cube and seeing beyond that shape. And then we have even more souls that are also transitioning into 5 dimension, and we have this wave of energy that's trying to bring us all into the 5th dimension, because now it's time to make that leap. Because when everybody moves into that 5th dimension, the people in the 3rd dimension, the leaders in charge, the organizations that keep society down and things like that, will fall away, because the 4th dimension and the 5th dimension coming together will remove the 3rd dimensional thinking process. And it's hard to say exactly what happens to those individuals that deny a change or are not ready to move into the 4th dimension to see beyond the material constructs of the world. But and I guess that's why I'm able to see religion in that kind of way, and a lot of people are, because what happens is, in the past, religion was really taught more inside of the box. Stay inside of the box. God is going to punish you if you don't stay inside of the box. And so there's a lot of fear-based kind of control in the 3D society. And then what happens is, in 4D, when people start entering that 4th dimension, they start to connect lines together, and that's when you start to feel very connected to God. And so you start to have realizations that whatever they're teaching here is really man-made. It's based on their level of consciousness and awareness, but it's not the divine truth. The divine truth starts to become more apparent here, where the lines start to interconnect, and you start to feel this unity and this interconnection to others, and it's a wonderful experience. But right now, we have our system kind of stuck in the 3rd dimension. So there is some morals that is growing, and in 3D. From 2D, you definitely are moving out of just the survival mode and the survival instinct. And 3D is starting to have a little bit more of an awareness about the emotions and the consequences, and like the physical reality and how it reflects, your internal states of being. But it's still trapping people in an imprisonment, in kind of a fear system that those in charge want. Because when you keep people in a box, when you keep people in that triangle, it supports that foundational system that has been holding society up and has been making all the money from all of the workers. and um, and so the leaders do not want people to come out of that box, because as soon as you come out of that box, that is when revolutions start to happen, and when people start to say, wait a minute, I'm I'm actually feeling a connection. Like, I'm a Christian, but this person's a Muslim, and my pastor has been telling me to, to think of Islam as an evil thing, and oh, it's from the devil. And wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense, because I know this Muslim and he's my friend, and I'm seeing another perspective, and I'm starting to see how we're all interconnected, and how, well, maybe we all just call God different languages, and we're all interconnected and from the same source. And that's where a lot of fourth dimensional thought happens, which allows people to make more friends, to feel more unified with others. So you can only imagine the joy in five dimension. But I will move on to the next video about fourth dimension and talk a little bit more about there and what's going on right now in the present time. So, Hananle for watching, and I will see you in the next video.